Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bundesliga Show, brought to you by Over the Bar. We're back for another Matchday review, Matchday 11. Obviously, as you can tell, been working very hard throughout the season so far, and we're very excited that we've got a live show with a live guest, which we'll be able to bring you in one moment. We'll bring him in shortly. Just before we do, of course. This channel, this show is in partnership this season with Bundesliga Boxes. You might not be able to tell actually, but I've got my latest shirt on tonight, my Darmstadt number. Very pleased with that. They're a fantastic company, so please do make sure that you go check them out on Twitter and on their website. Right then, so before we get in and bring in our guests, let's just quickly swing over to you, Mark. Let's look at some scores on the doors, and then we'll get straight to business.
Yeah, you had to get a Darmstadt shirt there, Rory. They turned Nuremberg over last week, so I'm a little bit gutted there. You know, I've got my Nuremberg scarf on again as usual today. But yeah, they actually handed Nuremberg their first defeat on Matchday 12 or 11, I think it was. So yeah, a little bit gutted about that one. But yeah. Okay, so yeah, let's go start by going over the results from week 11. Yeah, so yeah, we started on Friday night. We had a 1-1 draw between Mainz and Gladbach. Then yeah, Freiburg's unbeaten run ended at the 11th attempt with Bayern winning 2-1 over them. Yeah, Wolfsburg continued their good start under Kofeld with a 1-0 win over Augsburg. Then Bielefeld finally getting off the mark, didn't they, against Rory Stuttgart. It's not going too well for them, is it, at all?
No.
Yeah, Frank Kramer's side finally won a game 1-0 at Stuttgart. Bochum with an excellent 2-0 win over Hoffenheim. You had the big game of the weekend, RB Leipzig with a 2-1 win over Dortmund, who are obviously missing Haaland. Yeah, Hertha Berlin and Leverkusen playing out a 1-1 draw on Sunday. Köln and Union Berlin also playing out a draw, but this time 2-2. Then, yeah, the last game of the weekend was a 2-1 win for Frankfurt in beleaguered Fürth. I feel like I say that every week, that they're a beleaguered side, but it gets worse every week, doesn't it? Let's be honest. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the end of the scores on the doors for week 11.
Good stuff. Right then, without further delay, let's get in our guest for this week. It's been a while since we've had one, isn't it? Very, very happy. We tried to get this young man on the show a couple of weeks ago, but now we've been able to do it. Even though he's a little bit under the weather, he's still come on. So let's bring him in. Moritz, super fan. Here he is.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Are you well, other than being slightly under the weather?
I'm totally fine. I'm happy. We've talked before. I'm absolutely happy because of the win last weekend, and couldn't be better for me as a Bochum fan.
Excellent stuff, top man. So obviously, what we're going to do is now we'll go through our Over the Bars featured four. So we're going to do it in reverse order without kind of spoiling who might be, the best game. Bochum will feature, so don't worry, everyone. We'll be going over their game in good detail. So, Mark, do you want to introduce the games then?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with the fourth place game. I mean, some might be a little bit surprised because it was built as the big game. But yeah, I mean, it was still a great weekend if you were an RB Leipzig fan, wasn't it? Because the game ended up in a 2-1 win for the home side against Dortmund. Yeah. So I'm going to throw that one straight over to you, Moritz. What did you make of this one? Do you think Leipzig were the better side? Did they deserve the win in this game?
I personally speaking, and in general, I think I don't know how to look at Leipzig because they have been somewhat inconsistent over the season. Of course, Bochum has already played against them. They were good, but also Bochum had some chances. Against Dortmund, it was like a start with not really much chances. I guess the first chance was in the 12th minute with Nkunku and Szoboszlai. After that, of course, Leipzig was the better team. Dortmund really had some difficulties, as seen in the past, because I think they are really missing out on Haaland, who is their best player, obviously. And you can see what kind of role Haaland plays in the tactic from Dortmund when you look at the past games.
Yeah, absolutely. And say from a Bochum point of view, then Moritz, and if you're kind of looking at both these two teams, if you say you've got both teams fresh, fully fit, which one scares you the most? Like, which one's more of a team, and which one maybe relies on individuals more? Maybe kind of hinting towards Dortmund relying too much on Haaland.
Oh, that's a tough question, to be fair. I'm scared the most of Dortmund because of Haaland. And I would say that Dortmund is a team because they didn't really change much over the last couple of seasons, I think. So they really have built something there, but they have a lot of injuries right now. So that's why, of course, they don't play as good as they could be. So as referring back to your question, I'm scared a lot of Dortmund.
Very good. Speaking of obviously influential players right now in the Bundesliga, and naturally when you think of the league, you think of Lewandowski and you think of Haaland, and maybe those two being on another level. But how far do you think Christopher Nkunku is at the moment, Moritz? Because he's a player that's shown some serious form this season, and is a large reason why they won the game at the weekend. And is he going to be, shuffling for maybe a bigger move perhaps in the future, or do you think he needs to spend a bit more time at the club to keep on playing at, to a consistent level before he considers himself a great player?
I would say that Nkunku has made a good development over the last couple of months, and if he continues to perform like this, like he does right now, I would totally say that the move in summer is fine. Maybe he will go to Bayern, as we have seen last transfer window when a lot of Leipzig players went to Bayern, and also their coach. But Nkunku, it's an outstanding player. We have here, obviously, you have seen his talent when he was at Paris, and now he's. I can just repeat myself. He's an outstanding player and a big improvement for the Bundesliga.
Good stuff. Let's finish off quickly with regards to the game and then Dortmund itself. Obviously, missing a lot of players, showed a decent amount of fight, but generally speaking, obviously, there are not enough players really to be competitive as they potentially could have been in this game. Being 4 points off Bayern after 11 games, considering the mishmash of players that they've had missing so far. Would you say so far it's an okay start, Moritz, or would you have wanted more from Dortmund so far under Marco Rose?
I would have expected more, of course, but I'm also quite biased, if that's the right word, because I'm a Bochum fan. I don't like Dortmund that much, so I'm really happy when they lose. But on the other hand, especially games against Leipzig, I'm always for the team against who is playing against Leipzig. So this could be a game where Dortmund should have won. But yeah, they could have done better. Maybe because they have not even Haaland, but also Dahoud, who is out for a long time right now. Giovanni Reina, who has a worse injury than expected, and also Rafael Guerrero, who was a major player when he came back from his injury, and now he's injured again. So they are missing out on a lot of players, and that's something that's playing in. That's one of the reasons why Dortmund is performing so inconsistent also right now.
Absolutely agreed. I mean, at one point, I think they were playing Hazard at left back at some stage in this game. So it just goes to show the extent of their injuries, and they weren't able to do it, unfortunately. So shall we move on then, Mark, onto game 3?
Yeah, absolutely. And our third game of the week was that game between Köln and Union Berlin. I mean, this was a great game to watch. Yeah, I watched this game on Sunday afternoon. This was a really, really good game. I mean, two sides that we mentioned before that they play really good football this season. like both sides have moved more towards attacking teams over the last year or so, and this was a really, really good game to watch. And obviously with Köln legend Anthony Modeste as well, getting the equaliser at the end and brilliantly taking off Stefan Baumgart's hat as well, the famous flat cap, and putting it on to celebrate the goal. You know, I thought that was a brilliant celebration from the man. Yeah. So, Moritz, what did you make of this game? Who do you think were the better side, really, in this entertaining clash?
I just could watch the first half because afterwards my stream has broken down. So in the first half, I would say that Union was the better half. Although Cologne had the better start with the early goal from Modeste, but Union equalized it really quick. And then right before halftime, the psychological important goal they scored there. So in the first half, it definitely was Union. And as far as I've heard, also in the second half, but then there was the turning point with the corner and the goal from Modeste. And afterwards, Cologne could have even won. I think Kainz was it who had another chance to score the winning goal. But as you mentioned, these are two sides who are playing fantastic football right now. Especially Cologne, I wouldn't have expected that from them at the beginning of the season. And Modeste, who is back at his old form, and his he also has some crazy celebrations.
He loved it. And I very much agreed with regards to how surprising this, pleasantly surprising it's been seeing Köln so much more aggressive on the front foot. Very much, as you correctly said, Moritz, you know, Union going 2-1 up at half time. Very, you know, a psychological blow for the home side. But after that, they just came forward, flooding forward. I think Hector, the captain, led by example, went closer on a couple of occasions, didn't he? So it's been obviously a rejuvenated side. How far do you think this Cologne team can go this season under the management of Baumgart? Seems like someone who's got his ship in order, so to speak. So you know, can they maybe challenge for a top 7 place, or is that a bit too ambitious?
I think they definitely have the quality for that. But I'm every time that when a team has a new manager, I'm quite unsure how this euphoria is that the word I'm looking for? That's that comes with the new manager is like going down a bit over the season. But of course, Stefan Baumgart is a coach who can keep this up and also get the fans going and keep the. So I think they can go for I think you said place 7.
Yeah, fighting for that Europa Conference League space, so to speak. Yeah,
I think it's possible, but they have to perform like this over the whole season.
Good stuff. And then on Union, a question that we often ask ourselves, myself and Mark on this show, especially with their first foray into Europe. Do you think they're doing a good job of balancing it so far? Obviously, they've been struggling. To be fair, they got given quite a hard group for a Conference League group, didn't they? So have you been impressed with how they've kind of managed their way through it, so to speak?
Absolutely. When I was looking at at what transfers Union did in the summer, I was thinking like, okay, these are more like players I wouldn't expect in the Bundesliga, for example, Behrens, but they are performing well at Union. They have a good team. They have a lot of players who can come in, so they can give other players, important players, a rest. And we shouldn't forget that Union is missing out on one important player with Max Kruse, and they are still performing this well.
Yeah, good stuff. So I think that kind of rounds up that game quite well. I think it was always going to be a very tightly contested game. So no wonder that it produced the goods. So yeah, let's move on to the second half. So in second place this week, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we do that, we just had a question as well coming in from Johnny B. So we like to get down to the questions. Yeah. So he said, can Bielefeld stay up? Yeah, I think we discussed this a little bit last week as well. Obviously, yeah, we mentioned this was a massive game for them against Stuttgart, and I think they won it relatively comfortably, even though they only got the one goal. They were by far the better side in that game against ailing Stuttgart. But I would say, yes, I do believe they are capable. I think Frank Kramer, the coach, was pretty close to the sack before this game, from what I can gather. A few of their fans were turning against him, according to the German news. And I think this was a much, much needed win for him. But for me, I think the performance level has been decent of Bielefeld this season. It's just they can't turn it into wins. I mean, we've mentioned they create a lot of chances, but they just don't seem to be able to get the goals. And then a few mistakes at the back, and, they end up losing the games. Moritz, do you believe they can stay up, Bielefeld?
Yeah, yes, I do believe this, especially with the win they've gotten this weekend. But we shouldn't forget that they've played the Stuttgart side, which had a lot of injuries. They have missed out on important players like Mafropanos or Kempf. I think they are still struggling with some players being in quarantine because of COVID. So of course, Stuttgart is an opponent. So now I've got the word. You should beat, especially right now. And if they keep going and get motivated from this win, they maybe can start a little win streak and then get out of the relegation zone. And if you look at last season, Bielefeld didn't had a lot of points more than this season. I think they now have 1 point more than last season. So I don't know why there is a discussion about coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. I thought it was very, very harsh that they were discussing him to be fired. But obviously, I mean, the fact that he guided them to safety last year when it didn't look likely, let's be honest, when he came in, but it was a great run to safety. And then, yeah, obviously this season finally getting the first win. Yeah, also related to that topic, Ben Morris also said, I would like Bielefeld to stay up. Strong British connection to the town. Yeah, I think that's because, if my history serves me right, it's because I think the British army base used to be in Bielefeld as well. So I think a lot of people have that kind of connection to the town from Britain. If I remember rightly, I think Paul said his granddad actually lived there or something. I don't know, Paul, maybe if you're watching this, you can correct me on that one. But yeah, strong British connection with Bielefeld, yeah. Yeah, and obviously Tobias as well says in Bochum we need Bielefeld to take 17th spot. I don't know if that's one of your friends.
It is. It's my podcast mate.
Yeah, great. Yeah, but absolutely, yeah, you're going to be down there probably. Although Bochum's form so far, you never know. You could push for mid-table the way things are going at the minute, So we'll have to see on that one. Okay, so moving on to game 2. Yeah, it was that big game of, I think it was first versus third as kickoff started in this one. Yeah, and obviously it ended in a 2-1 win to Bayern over previously undefeated Freiburg. Gotta say, in my opinion, I thought Freiburg gave a really, really good attempt in this one. I mean, obviously they did lose the game in the end, but they had a few chances at 0-0. I think Höhler missed a couple of chances. Yeah. But yeah, I thought overall it was a great performance, and it took a pretty good Bayern performance to win it in the end, really, Moritz. Would you agree with that?
I would absolutely agree with that. Freiburg obviously was the surprise of the season so far, and they have shown in this game that this wasn't like luck in the last games, but they really have the quality to stay this far up in the table. So I'm just surprised on how good Freiburg is performing, and of course they have also some good players in their team with Schlotterbeck, Grifo, who is also performing well again. Yeah. So it's just fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the game went, I think we found out why Freiburg had been doing so well. Flecken in net, was up to the challenge, made a lot of good saves. I think up to half time, it really was a close game, and I think also, despite the amount of chances that Bayern had, and they did play well, I think both their goals had elements of luck to them. So the first goal obviously is a Muller assist, but the pass that he placed beforehand is deflected straight back into his path to then make the assist in the end for Goretzka to finish. Obviously, the second goal is great work down the left by Alphonso Davies, who crosses it for Sane, who obviously he's shooting, but it looks like it's going wide. And lo and behold, Lewandowski is in the perfect place, as always, as all good strikers are, to tap home. So I think, maybe both goals, you can say that there's an element of fortune to them both. But I think on merit, it probably was Bayern who deserved their win. Moritz, it's probably a question that we ask most people that we have on this show. Can you see anyone getting past Bayern? And kind of secondly to that, are they probably the best team in Europe right now?
Firstly, I don't think that anyone can get past Bayern in the Bundesliga right now. I think Rummenigge was it who has already said that because of Dortmund's lose last weekend, they can now get out the Meisterschale again and start planning the party. So you can see that Bayern is just in another league, and in Bochum we have experienced this on our own with the 7-0 defeat in Munich. So we know how good Bayern is.
Yeah,
and I would also say that they are right now the best team in Europe, especially with Nagelsmann. They have one of the best coaches in the world right now, and he and I don't know who's gonna stop Bayern, except from a bad day that Bayern is having in the Champions League, for example.
Yeah, very true. Well, they seemingly are capable of having a bad day. Obviously, case in point in the Pokal recently with that shot loss to Gladbach, which obviously no one saw coming. Righty-ho. Well, I think that summarizes our second game quite well. So let's talk about the game of the weekend for us, and hopefully it's one that Moritz can get his teeth stuck into.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we do that, we've had another comment coming in from Bananarama. Yeah, still hoping for a Leipzig miracle and them getting relegated. Yeah, like for some of those watching in the UK or the US, I think obviously a lot of people know that in Germany, like Leipzig are not the most popular of clubs. I think Moritz, you probably confirm that, obviously because of their tied with Red Bull, and in Germany they're not always such a big fan of the corporate culture, which can obviously happen in some other leagues, obviously the Premier League being one of them, I would say. Let's be honest. Would you agree with that, Moritz, that Leipzig are not the most popular side within Germany?
They are definitely not. I think in the last couple of years it's changed a bit because people are saying, they are playing beautiful football and it's a family-friendly club. But if you look at the whole construct behind this, you can see that this isn't something you want to have in football. It's we had a podcast about this, and our guest told us that Leipzig isn't a club like a club should be, where the fans can decide what happens in the club, because in Leipzig the fans can't get into the club and can't get a membership, so they can decide and talk there with the and can't decide what's happening. So Leipzig is like really unpopular, especially in the how to say it, in the stands and in German football.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, especially when you've got huge clubs like FC Nuremberg in the Zweite Bundesliga as well, Yeah. But in all seriousness, obviously there are a lot of big clubs in the Zweite at the moment. Obviously Werder Bremen, Schalke, Hamburg, Nuremberg, like many big clubs. I guess that's why a lot of people feel as though Leipzig isn't. But it's open for debate. If anyone disagrees with that, you're welcome to comment on that as well. Absolutely. Okay, so moving on to the game of the weekend. I mean, it's perfect, really. It was an entertaining game and a very dramatic game, I think, especially if you were a Bochum fan. Obviously getting the 2-0 win over Hoffenheim. I really enjoyed watching this game on the highlights. I thought VAR had a big role to play in this one, didn't it, Moritz? And what do you think of the win there?
I have to say that I was due to Uni in Wolfsburg at this time, so I was watching Wolfsburg against Augsburg. But I had my smartphone with me, and I was looking at, I think, the first half hour. Was looking at my smartphone, was watching the game, and I was missing, of course, the exciting stuff in the second half. and you had everything in this game. You had a goalkeeper who was trying to shoot a penalty, but he made it look like a goal kick. And you have a goal from behind the halfway line.
yeah, that was superb. I've got to say, from a comedy value, like it's not often you see the goalkeeper step up, is it? Obviously, Riemann, he came up and absolutely leathered it miles over the bar, didn't he? Let's be honest. Yeah.
Yes.
But obviously, it didn't affect Bochum because he still went on to win the game relatively comfortably in the end, you know.
Yeah,
but it's go on, Rory. Yeah.
Sorry, just a quick question to Moritz on that. And I know, obviously, you know, from outside of Bochum, you know, there's a bit of comedy value to it, seeing a keeper sky a penalty and things like that. But on the other side of that, is that not quite worrying from a Bochum fan and team perspective? Where I know he scored a penalty in the Pokal. Is that one of the reasons for him taking it? But surely, you know, you've got forwards, you've got attacking midfielders, wingers, whatever, like. They should really be stepping up and taking responsibility to, in theory, win a game for you there. And obviously it could have cost you, you know, at the end of the day. So do you think there's anything to kind of think about it? Or do you think that's just kind of going a bit over the top in terms of what I'm saying?
Well, actually, I think it was Milos Pantovic who was standing there and was ready to take the penalty, but the Oskovo was shouting Riemann's name. So Riemann, who has a lot of self-confidence, especially after the last couple of weeks. He was obviously going to the penalty spot. After the game, our coach also said that it's a mistake from him because he could have just said that Riemann should go back and Milos Pantovic should have taken the penalty. But after the game and after Milos' goal, Riemann came to him and I think he said sorry multiple times and also thank you because Milos scored the goal. And therefore, Riemann was really, really thankful. So I don't think we have any problem there in Bochum.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, though, the guy's been awesome this season, Riemann. You know, I think even in the first game of the season when they played Wolfsburg, I think me and Rory said, you know, this guy's one to look out for this season. Like, he had a stormer that game. I think he made like 8 saves. But, I mean, how many clean sheets is that now for Bochum? That must be at least 4 or 5 clean sheets this season, which is really, really good. I think you kept one at Fürth against Mainz this weekend. I think one other as well, right? It's been Frankfurt, yeah, as well.
Frankfurt, I think we have 4 clean sheets at home and 1 away at Fürth. So in our 5 home games, we have 4 clean sheets and one, in one game we have conceded 3 goals against Berlin. But I still don't know how we have lost this game. So
Yeah, I remember that one. But it's been a great start for Bochum, hasn't it? Like, how does it feel to be a Bochum fan at the moment? Because you're flying high in the league with 13 points now, which is pretty good total after 11 games, you know.
It feels amazing. It was last season it was great, and now it's just gotten better. I've said it in the beginning. I'm studying in Frankfurt right now, and after the home win against Frankfurt, I just came with a big smile into university on Monday, and it's just great. So I can't really describe how I'm feeling because I'm happy. Nothing is ruining my mood right now, and I couldn't have. I didn't think that this season could turn out this great right now, especially after the start with the defeat against Munich. The defeat against Cologne, and I think we've lost another game. It was the 3 games we've lost in a row. So I really thought that this season is going to be a tough one, but right now it looks really good.
Yeah, and obviously, I'd be interested to see, Maurice, from your point of view. Firstly, now maybe what your expectations were at the start of the season, and obviously kind of linked into that, of course, you probably thought you were going to be near enough kind of a relegation battle. What do you think was always going to be your kind of biggest, weakest kind of point? Was it scoring goals? Because it seems like defensively you seem quite sound at the moment. So is it just maybe putting the ball in the back of the net? Obviously, the loss of Simon Zoller, a big, kind of blow for you guys. So just interested to see what you thought ahead of the start of the season and how it's, maybe altered since then.
at the start of the season, I thought our midfield was going to be our biggest problem. With Anthony Lucia and Robert Tesche, we had two players who were key players in our in the last season, but we have always said that they are missing out on pace. We have seen this in the Pokal against Mainz and Leipzig, where they were easily outrun by the opponents. So it was good that we have signed with Eduard Löwen and Elvis Rexbejai 2 players for this position. But of course, these are just 2 players, and if one gets injured, they have Lucia or Tesche should need to play. Mm-hmm. But I'm surprised that Anthony Lucia is doing such a good job right now. He's has adapted to the Bundesliga. He is fighting. He really has the traits that we want to see in Bochum. We have known this for a long time, but we didn't expect him to be this good in the Bundesliga. I think it was against Gladbach where he pulled an outstanding tackle, and I think it was in our own penalty box where he was the last man, and he could have easily be a penalty, but it was just an outstanding tackle. And now during the season, especially you mentioned the injury from Simon Zoller, who was our main goal scorer at the beginning of the season, and I think he participated in every goal we have scored. He made the assist for Gerrit Holtmann against Mainz, and the assist for Polter against Mainz, and he scored against Cologne. And the other one, I'm not quite. No, he was of. I'm not quite sure right now if he did score another goal, but I forgot this. I'm sorry. So right now we can see that we are missing out on a striker. Polter isn't the striker we have been looking for, but however he's a great person and he's a team player. But we have seen it against Hoffenheim again that he is missing some really, really big chances that you expect a striker to bring them on goal at least, but Polter is missing out on pace. He's missing out. He has technical deficit. He has a bad technique. So I think that's where we need improvement in the winter.
Good stuff. Well, that kind of links in perfectly, actually, because we've got a question in directly for you, Moritz, from Josh. So he asks, who do you see as a potential winter transfer for VfL, seeing as Zoller will be injured for most of the season, and Polter and Nowotny are not really having Bundesliga qualities? So have you been linked to anyone that you know of, Moritz? And if not, who would you think would be an ideal kind of player to bring in during the winter transfer?
Well, ironically, we have been linked to no other than Robert Joule in the last month, because he gave an interview to the Bild and told them, "Oh, I want to play for Bochum again. It's not as good as I've imagined here in Saudi Arabia or in Dubai." Who could have thought at the beginning that the league has is bad quality wise? Yes. So this is the only player we have been linked to right now, but Sebastian Schinzelords already said that this is not going to happen because we don't know how fit Robert Joule is right now. Mm-hmm. Our coach said that he isn't like a training world champion. He's a bit lazy in training and needs to be motivated. So I don't think that Robert Joule is going to isn't going to wear the Bochum kit anytime soon. But I think we will look out for a striker, especially when we see that Sever Gamboula, who has the qualities for the Bundesliga. He is a big striker. He has the technique. He's fast, but also somehow he is lazy in training, and this is something our coach doesn't like. So he hasn't been in the Matchday squad for the past couple of match days. So I think there we will see a winter transfer on this position.
Good stuff. All right. Finally, before we move on from Bochum, and we field a few questions which have come in as well, which we'll come to and do our talking point. Just briefly, Moritz, on Bochum. So, where did the relationship between the two of you begin? Obviously, you're studying in Frankfurt right now. So, do you want to just tell everyone how the love affair began with you and Bochum?
Good enough that Tobias is watching right now, because he or his father was the reason why I've visited the Bochum Stadium. I think it was in 26 against Bielefeld. It was a 2-1 home win against them, and this was the first time I was in the stadium. And from there on, I just was, I just wanted to go there every time. After the relegation, I think in 2014, it really started off where I've been there regularly, going into the stands, into the Ostkurve, and watching the games, going on away trips to Ingolstadt, doing a DFB Pokal away trip again to Flensburg, where we have lost 1-0 against the Regionalliga side. So but I'm still, I don't know, it's this club really, I can't get away from it.
Excellent.
Yeah, and ironically, actually, Moritz, my first ever Nuremberg game was also against Bochum, actually, as well. I don't know if you remember the 2017 game. Nuremberg won 3-1 in that game. And incredibly, to this day, it's still the only time that I've been to the Max Morlock Stadium when Nuremberg have won a game as well. And I've been to 12 games overall, and they've not won in the last 11 games, apart from, obviously, the Bochum game. Yeah, so maybe they're a bit of good luck for Nuremberg as well. yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yes, but I remember the game. I think Diamantaco scored the only goal for Bochum with a penalty.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, to make it 2-1. Yeah, Nuremberg flew out of the blocks, and I think Valentini scored one of the goals. I remember that. Yeah, Enrico Valentini. Yeah, Nuremberg's only Italian going. Yeah, but yeah, I remember that game well. And Bochum actually had a good following that day. I think they had a couple of thousand there at Nuremberg on I think it was a weeknight as well, Englische Woche, as you guys call it. It was one of the, I think it was Tuesday night or Wednesday night games. So yeah, it's good following from Bochum. Yeah.
It's one of the big benefits Bochum has, because when we go to Bayern in this area, the Munich supporters will always come to our games and support us as well because of the friendship. We will have a lot of fans there. And on the other hand, if Munich is playing here in around Bochum, there will be a lot of Bochum supporters as well.
Wow, that's an interesting one. Yeah, maybe that's why there were so many. Yeah, good. Okay, yeah. So I guess we should move on to our talking point of the week. So yeah, obviously the Bundesliga Boxes talking point of the week, where we select like what we consider to be one of the big talking points of the week. And this week we wanted to just talk about, move our attention to the bottom of the table. Greuther Fürth, what more can you say? Nuremberg's biggest rivals, of course, So I might enjoy this talking point a little bit, but yeah. So yeah, the talking point is, will Fürth break the record for the lowest number of points this season? I mean, obviously 1 point from the first 11 games. They're on a run of 9 straight defeats in the league. Obviously, after that last second defeat against Frankfurt, let's be honest, they were a little bit unlucky. They equalized after 92 minutes and then went and lost the game after 94. I think that just about sums up Fürth's season so far, let's be honest, really, But will they break the record lowest number of points? I mean, obviously, we saw Schalke have an absolute nightmare last season, but obviously the worst ever team in the Bundesliga was obviously Tasmania Berlin, obviously, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I mean, can they break the record low number of points, Moritz? What do you think? Are they that bad, or do you think they'll start winning a few games further down the season?
I don't think that Fürth is that bad. They have had good performances, even against Bayern. At home, they had a good performance. I think it was yesterday against Frankfurt in the first half, where they should have scored 1 or 2 goals. So they are missing out on luck. That's why they are. That's why they didn't get a win right now. They had the game against Bielefeld where they couldn't score a second goal against them, even though Bielefeld had a red card. So I think it's the same with Bielefeld. When Fürth starts winning games, I would suggest that they could earn some points. But on the other hand, we shouldn't forget that Fürth hasn't won a home game in their Bundesliga history, so that's another problem they are facing.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, for those that don't know, obviously Mark mentioned correctly, Tasmania Berlin are the team that have the lowest number of points. So the record is 10 points. They're on 1 right now. Obviously, we're on match week 11. So obviously, we're not almost a third of the way there. So obviously, if they keep on going at the same rate, they probably will break the record. They need 3 wins to draw level with that record at the very least. So interesting one, really. I mean, come on then, Mark. As a Nuremberg fan, you can dive into this one. Where do you see those 3 wins coming from? Because obviously, you know, they target the teams in and around them, but you know, they've scored a few goals and they particularly seem to go in the lead, don't they? But they can't hold on to leads. And as you say, some of it's been, a bit of bad luck, but, is it just player quality?
Yeah, for me, I don't see wins coming anytime soon. Certainly away from home, they've really, really struggled, let's be honest. I mean, they've been whacked at a few teams, haven't they? But I'll be honest, I did watch the game yesterday against Frankfurt, and I thought they were unlucky to lose the game, in all honesty. I really did. I thought a draw would have been a fair result in that game, and especially in the last 10, 20 minutes after Frankfurt took the lead. I mean, I thought Fürth were really good. It's just a pity. Where was that urgency when it was 0-0? That was my only problem from them yesterday, because for me, Frankfurt are a side in a bit of trouble at the minute. I mean, they've got good players, but they're just not playing well in the Bundesliga at the minute, And I didn't think they were great yesterday either. And I thought that was a potential chance that they could have got 3 points, to be honest. Fürth yesterday. I mean, if you look at the fixtures, obviously they go to Gladbach away next. They're not going to get anything from there for me. A good home side, Gladbach. Then the next home game is obviously Hoffenheim, obviously the side that Bochum beat this week. But I mean, yeah, again, Hoffenheim has still got pretty much better players all over the park. But I think if they can fire themselves up, and kind of like get stuck into Hoffenheim, that is the kind of game they could potentially win. Because we've seen that Hoffenheim blow very, very hot and cold, don't they? They've got quality players all over the pitch, but when they're bad, they're very bad, Hoffenheim. That's the problem with them. But again, it's like, they've not played Augsburg yet. I think they've got them to come in 3 or 4 games. And that's a potential game they could win. The Bavarian derby as well, that one, obviously. Even though Fürth probably don't consider themselves to be Bavaria, it's obviously Franconia here in Germany, But yeah, I mean, that's a game they could potentially win. Obviously, they drew at home to Bielefeld. They lost at home to Bochum, It's not looking good for them, is it? Let's be honest. But I mean, they've got to keep fighting and at least try and get up to like 10, 15 points to make the season respectable, really, for me.
All right, then. So let's just quickly go around the houses and we'll just go for a yes, no. Will they break the record? So I'm going to be horrible and say I think they will break the record. Mark, what do you reckon?
I'm going to say they'll get 11 points. I think they'll just break it. They'll just avoid breaking it. Yeah.
Moritz, are they going to break the record or not?
No, I don't think they were going to break the record.
Very good, very good. So let's move on then. Obviously, usually this would be the end of the show, but we've got loads of questions that we want to get through, actually. So, Mark, do you want to select a few and we'll kind of fire them either way around?
Yeah, absolutely. One from our very own Dave. Yeah. So what's the perception of Leroy Sané in Germany now? He seemed to be written off by many fans after his first season, but seems to be doing all right now. Yeah. Yeah, I would say my personal take on Sané is that he's been a lot better this season overall, definitely. But he's just he misses a lot of chances, doesn't he? That's the problem with Sané. Since he's come to the Bundesliga, he seems to miss a good couple of chances a game. But I think his overall game involvement has been very, very good this season. I thought against Leverkusen a few weeks ago, he was world class in that game. I thought he was great in that one. Yeah, I think generally he always seems to play well against Dortmund as well, which kind of helps himself to endear himself to the Bayern fans. Would you agree with that one, Moritz? Do you think Sané's done well since he came to Germany?
He has done well in this season. I think Tobias wrote it in the chat. He was criticized at the beginning of the season, but then there was a turning point where he was playing on the left wing. It's another comment in the chat where Nagelsmann saw where Sané is more comfortable playing, and he has played. And since then, he has just great performances, even for Bayern and for the national team. So I think Nagelsmann is one important factor why Sané is now reaching his potential again. I think, as you mentioned, he's missing a lot of chances, so there's still room for improvement, but it's definitely a Sane that helps Bayern, and that's in this when he plays this well, he also helps the German national team.
Very good. A couple more questions then. First one from Ben. Who is your player of the month for October? That's a good question. It seems like a mesh of games that have kind of come and gone really for during the Bundesliga so far. October, I mean, for me, I think we already had a comment about Modeste. He's certainly got to be up there, the way that he's played. Nkunku possibly one. Any other names to throw in there, Moritz, player of the month at all?
I just want to throw in a Bochum player, and it's Manuel Riemann, of course.
Yeah.
Who has some outstanding performances and is helping the team a lot. We had some difficulties with him even in this season, where he was criticizing our own players live on television, and a lot of fans were afraid that this would lead to a bad team spirit, but he has changed. He isn't the shouting and criticizing on the field right now when there are mistakes happening, but we have seen this against Gladbach, where I think Lampropoulos had a bad game in the first half, and Riemann was talking to Lampropoulos and tried to build up his confidence again. So he was an important player in October and in this whole season for Bochum, but also Modeste, who is really, really good. But I will go with Riemann.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I think for me also Johnny Burkhardt as well has got to be mentioned in that.
Yeah.
He was outstanding, and I think especially the second half of October, he was amazing in some of those performances for Mainz. Yeah, he was really, really good.
Yeah, that's a really good shout, actually, to be fair. And then finally, I think this is the last question. I'll try and go back in the comments and see if we've missed anything from Chris. Question for the end of the show. Can you guys do more videos on club history? Germany, like we do with the rivalries last season. For example, there's 3 teams in Leipzig. Well, just to answer it very directly and easily, Chris, yes, 1,000% we will be doing more of those videos. I think we'll find a bit of time to set aside a Sunday, and me and Mark will delve in and record a load of those. So hopefully we'll have some to maybe release during the winter break when there's not much Bundesliga footy happening. So yes, we will definitely be doing more rivalries and Derby Day kind of dive-ins and looking back at club histories. Maybe we'll have to do one for Bochum as well. So maybe we'll get Moritz's input on that as well. Well, I think we just had one last question we'll throw in from our regular viewer. So let's have a look at this one. Do you think Kofeld will be successful in the long run with Wolfsburg? We've seen him start brilliantly with Werder last year until it went wrong in something like 9 or 10 games. Over to you, Moritz. What do you think of Kofeld? Do you think the honeymoon period will last a bit longer at Wolfsburg?
That's a tough one. I think that Kofeld wasn't the main reason why Bremen got relegated. There were other problems in the club. You have seen this now at the beginning of the season in the second Bundesliga during the transfer period, where Bremen couldn't get their hands on any important players and they were really struggling. So I don't think that Kofeld was the reason why they got relegated. And when there are problems in the club, and there are other problems in the club, and there's then the coach can't do anything about it, I would say, then this will also influence the performance of the team. So I think that Kofeld is still a good coach, and he will definitely, he could be successful in the long run with Wolfsburg. And I have seen it on my own this weekend. Wolfsburg is playing a good football again, and they have the players and they have the individual quality to to go for the international places again.
Absolutely, well said. I think he's added better players that he now seems to have at his disposal. As me and Mark mentioned how he's gone from a relegation manager to now having a Champions League club. So I think we said that he's probably quite fortunate to have ended up in that role. But we'll see his credentials tested very much so. So I think that's every question that we've had from the live chat. So that's brilliant. So Mark, do you want to kind of summarize things and close things up? Obviously, first and foremost, massive thanks to Moritz for a debut performance on the Bundesliga show, and a brilliant one at that. Superb, to have you on the show, Moritz. Really interesting to hear a bit more about Bochum, and hopefully we'll have you back on the show sometime soon.
Thank you for inviting me, and of course, anytime you need me, I'm willing to talk here on the show again.
Top man.
Yeah, good man. So yeah, obviously, if you enjoyed what you saw tonight, then remember to check us out on our Twitter feed as well, at @OverTheBarFB and @OverTheBarExtra. So remember, we do go live onto the Twitter feed as well nowadays. The same with the League One and League Two show as well. So remember to check that out as well for some of you UK viewers. Yeah, obviously check out our main thing, which is obviously otbfootball.net. So that's the centerpiece of our work. You can find all of our written articles as well on there. So yeah, remember to check that out. Yeah, and obviously remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We had a really good turnout today as well. Great for the third week in a row. I think now we've had a great turnout on the chat, which is fantastic. Always helps us to flow the show even better than usual. I guess we'll see you guys again on Thursday with Runa for the predictions and fantasy football show. Thanks again to Maurice.
Probably won't the international break. With this being the international break, we'll be back.
Oh, of course it is. It's the damn international break. Yeah, nobody wants that one really.
I know.
But yeah, so we'll see you in 10 days or so then. Yeah. Bye bye, guys.
Cheers all.
Goodbye.